So this week we're going to be taking a look at the basics of Excel. Just as a full disclaimer, I'm going to be using the free version of Excel Online. You don't have to. If you use the app itself, it'll look slightly different. The menus might be slightly different, but overall the functionality is the same. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, but I'm going to be using the online one. To get started with, under the Components tab, we have a spreadsheet here that we're going to use for the tutorial. We can open it. We'll need to save it. And then if we go to office.com, we can simply open the containing folder, drag it to our list of workbooks, and it will open up the spreadsheet for us. So to get started with, we'll go over some terms. This whole thing is, with all the rectangles, is called a spreadsheet. It's used for entering and manipulating data. Spreadsheets work by naming columns, which are vertical, and they're named by letter, and then rows, which are horizontal, named by number. So when you're addressing a cell, it goes letter then number. So FedEx is in cell A5, Friday's in cell D3, and so on and so forth. If you have a range of cells, you can have a range that goes horizontal like this one, which would be B5 to D5. You can have them go vertical, which would be B5 to D8. And if you have a rectangle of cells, they're named from top left corner to bottom right corner. So this would be B5 to D8. Cells can contain multiple types of information. They could have labels and text, such as this. They could have numbers. They can have formulas. They can have functions. They could have combinations of everything. If we click on the cell in B11, we can see that what's actually in the cell up here is a function equals sum B5 to B8, which is taking the cells from B5 to B8 and adding them here. We'll learn more about how functions work later, but for now, if we wanted to have a total for these two columns as well, instead of having to write out this formula every time, we could click on the cell we want, and then in the bottom right corner you'll see a green box. If you click on that box, your arrow will turn into a little plus sign here, and drag right 2 spaces. You can actually fill across so that it will automatically take the function found here and put it to the right. Filling will be very useful for saving you time, especially if you're working with a lot of functions so that you don't have to keep writing things out. So we have an example of a function here. I'm going to show a quick example of how to write a formula. Formulas and functions work pretty much the same way. There's some small differences between them, and it's usually a matter of preference which one you use for simple math. But if we add a total label here, every formula and function must start with an equal sign or else it won't know you're trying to do math, so you write equals. And when you're just doing a formula, you're just basically doing math with the cells and other numbers. So if I wanted to add up a total for this row, I could go B5. And you'll notice as you name the cells, they'll get highlighted by different colors. If I do B5 plus C5 plus D5, I'll add these 3 cells, and the total will be placed here. And you're going to need to hit enter, because if you try to click out of it, it'll just start adding the cells you click on, so hit enter. And just like how we did below, we can fill this straight down so we don't have to write that out every time. And you'll automatically get your totals.